Hey guys, and welcome back to my video. This day, I'll be showing you the process on how I color the hair in my drawings, as well as show you tips on shading, choosing your color palette, and many more. I hope you will enjoy. So to start, you should choose a base color for the hair. I chose yellow for this drawing. What I'm currently doing right now is covering holes in the line art with the color that I am using so that I can just use the bucket tool to fill all of the hair inside the line art. I am putting a contrast background relative to the color I am using to clearly see if I miss anything. So after putting the base color for the hair, you should start working on the shading. Choosing the color for shading differs for each person. Others will choose to just shade it with a darker shade of the current base color, but I prefer choosing a darker color from another color that is on either side of the current base color in the color wheel, although what I'm currently using isn't really a color wheel. So as you can see, what I'm doing right now is lining where I put on my lighter shading. This kind of shading should always be put above where you want the darker shading should be. Another important thing to note is putting on a light source. I didn't do this now, but later on I drew where my light source is supposed to be and had to change my shading a little bit. So a trick I do when shading the hair is I kind of create a downward arc from the line art of the hair to the other side of the line art to an extent. So what I'm doing right now is using an airbrush with the base color as its color to make it look like the shading is kind of blending with the base color, and it also makes the hair look a lot lighter. So after all of that, I will continue to do the darker shading. What I'm doing right now is the same as when I did the lighter shading, but for the darker shading. Now we'll move on to the highlights. As you can see, I already drew my light source and adjusted my shading a tiny bit. I'll be adding the highlights where the light is at its strongest, which is at the top of the hair. So what I did here was just adjust the color of my highlights to fit the color of the hair a tiny bit so it doesn't look flat, and also adjusted my opacity to make it look like it blends. after this, I'll be adding another layer of highlight in the upper half of the hair to make this look more fuller finished, I guess. I don't really know how to word it. Anyways, I'll be adding some large strokes of the color of the highlight, and then later on I'll erase some of it using a smaller eraser brush to mimic the effect on how it looks like on real hair. I added some extra details on the first shading layer in this part.
I will be waiting up for you. I will be waiting. I will be waiting on my phone, waiting for you to come back home. I will be waiting up for you. I will be waiting. Yeah. Da 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 da. I will be waiting. Da 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 da. I will be waiting. I will be waiting on my phone, waiting for you to come back home. I will be waiting up for you. I will be waiting. I will be waiting on my phone, waiting for you to come back home. I will be waiting.
So at this point, I'm just airbrushing to make the shading look a lot softer.
Up for you, I will be waiting. Yeah. Da 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 da. I will be waiting. Da 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 da.
I added a bit of lighting on the tip of the bottom hair to mimic how light bounces not only from the top but also at the bottom. So, that is all there is to it in this video. I hope you have learned something new. Thanks for watching.